It was really only a matter of time. I think at this point I've probably talked about distributed denial more than literally anything else on this channel, and today is no different. We're talking about distributed denial again. I don't know what it is about this skill, for how weird and ass and barely functional that it is. It really does hold my attention and my fascination more than most other skills in this game. As I'm sure has been made evident by the 3 dedicated videos effectively that distributed denial has had on my channel, and now 4. Now, I am going to touch on distributed denial and kind of how it works and a couple weird things with it in this video, but if you're interested in this skill in more depth, I recommend checking out the first video if you want to know exactly how it works and what it does and doesn't work with. The second video going over specifically the shield merging synergy that you can do with it, and the third video, which is a full build video utilizing distributed denial. But as I usually do with this series, today I'm just going to be talking about distributed denial generally and giving my thoughts and opinions on it. But of course, before we do that, what is distributed denial? Distributed denial is a tier 3 skill in Zane's green tree, which lets Zane's barrier inherit the effects of your currently equipped shield. Along with that, the barrier also shares these shield effects with nearby allies. Which, to be 100% transparent, I don't have friends, and I have never once tested distributed denial with friends, and therefore I have no fucking idea how that actually works. But what I can tell you is how distributed denial works itself. The best way to understand how most effects work with barrier is to understand that barrier acts as a shield that is always full until it ends. While active, while shields are full, effects will be active. When it ends, on shield break effects will pop, while depleted effects will never activate, and any unconditional effects like recharge delay or health just have no effect. So for non-unique effects, this means that Absorb works, but it doesn't return bullets to Zane. Any sort of boosters work, Reflect works, and it will reflect the damage. The only 2 that don't do anything is Brimming and Vagabond. For your on-break effects, you have Nova and Safe Space. Both of these work when your shield ends. And then for unconditionals, you have Adaptive, Capacity, Delay, Health, Projected, Recharge, Resistant, and Turtle, which all do nothing. Depleted, again, all of these do nothing. Adrenaline, Fleet, Roid, and Trigger Happy. And then Amp and Spike also do not do anything. Now, as for unique shield effects, the Impaler and Void Rift both work. They will fire out those spikes whenever you take damage. However, because your barrier fires these spikes out of the base of it, that base is actually in the ground while you have it on top of you. So you either have to place barrier on the ground to make use of this, or you have to be constantly jumping. Red Suit and Ember's Blaze do work. The barrier will receive their auras. WTF will fire out IEDs towards attackers. Rico's Reflect will work. Bestars doesn't, but that's mostly because Bestar is a little bit bugged as is, but there's no way that I could find that the Bestar actually works with barrier. Big Boom Blaster will give you your boosters. The Stinger, when the barrier ends, will pump its Nova, but it doesn't give you the passive 50% melee damage. Zero.M, again, will give you the Nova, but it won't spawn in the circle that it's supposed to. Backham will also reflect bullets, and the MSRC Auto Dispensary will throw out its boosters. Literally every other shield just doesn't work, notably being the Faulty Star, which really pisses me off because the Faulty Star with a fucking Revolter swap would be hilarious. But speaking of, let me quickly go over the shield merging. Distributed Denial lets you get the effects of 2 shields at once, as long as one of those shields works on your barrier, because barrier inherits the effects of whatever shield you have at the time of it being spawned, and it will keep those until it ends. This means, for example, you could put a Void Rift on your barrier, and after your barrier is already out, you can swap to a Revolter to have the Revolter damage on your Void Rift spikes, which is fun, but not the best thing ever. Another somewhat useful interaction is putting the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot on your barrier, specifically a shock damage one, and then having a Transformer on yourself to give you some pretty good survivability, but that's about it. And the most useful interaction that I've been able to find, and the one that I built an entire build around, is using the Big Boom Blaster on your barrier to recharge whatever amp shield you have equipped very efficiently, which is both very cool and genuinely useful, even if just a tiny little bit overkill, but it is a very nice optimization to have. But in actual functionality of distributed denial, that is about all I can say on it. The only other use case I've ever really seen for distributed denial was in a build called Kamikaze Zane by Garwood from way back in the day, but it used distributed denial with the Stinger shield, and the gameplay was you would toss out your shield into a group of enemies, you would immediately go down into fight for your life, which would drop your shield. activating the stinger and would nuke all the enemies in the area and immediately get you back up. It was really fucking funny, and because the stinger at the time was insanely busted, it was a pretty good build, but that's about all the use cases that distributed denial really has. So what is it about this skill that makes me wake up in a cold sweat thinking about how badly I need to cook with it? Why is it that every time I start trying a new Zane build, the gremlins in my brain start asking if I can make use of distributed denial? Why have I made 4 fucking videos on this worthless skill that most people probably don't think twice about? 2 words. Potential, motherfucker. Only one of those words was like actually the important one, but I thought the second was also important for a dramatic effect. Distributed denial is a skill that on paper sounds like it has so much amazing potential to it and so many fun synergies that you can do with it, especially with the shield merging effect. I mean, that is literally something that nothing else in this game can do. Distributed denial is an incredibly cool and incredibly unique skill, but it just sucks ass because most of the things that would make it actually cool and actually interesting do not work with it. For how cool of an idea and a concept as distributed denial is, the actual execution of it leaves a lot to be desired. And remember, this used to be Zane's capstone, by the way, in his green tree. They swapped this with confident competence. You used to have to go all the way down into your green tree to grab a skill that barely functions with most shields in the game. This skill is so undercooked for the potential that it has to be an absolutely build-defining feature of Zane. For example, my personal favorite example, I mentioned it earlier, but the faulty star. The faulty star, Zane could have been the single best user of. That activates while a shield is full. If Zane was able to have that on his barrier, and barrier always acts like a full shield, motherfucker would be able to just fry people with it, and it would be hilarious. It would be fun. It would probably be one of Zane's strongest shields for a barrier setup. And that's cool. Messy Breakup, you could get an additional drone out of. Impaler and Void Rift are good and are pretty cool and fun to fuck around with, but again, having them spawn under the ground makes them borderline unusable unless you just want to be perpetually jumping or again, place your barrier. But it's a great example how even some of the shields that do work just don't do what they should be doing. It's really frustrating how close distributed denial is to being good. They really just needed to iron it out and not just kind of completely give up on it at some point. I don't know why in like any of the patches, I don't think there was ever a single fix to any shields with distributed denial. Actually, yeah, I just looked at it. The only time distributed denial was in any of the patch notes was when confident competence and it got swamped. Never a single bug fix or fixing any specific shields to work with it. Nothing. I don't know if maybe it was just a really difficult thing to make happen with how they coded shields or something. I have no idea. I'm not a game dev, but man, I just wish this thing worked. Or hell, if it was really that much of a struggle to get to work, maybe they should have just made the skill give Zane a second shield slot. That's gonna about do it for this one though. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, definitely consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, all that. I'll be live right after this video goes up right here on YouTube and also from my Twitch channel where there'll be a link to down in the description below, and just under that is a link to my Discord server where you can come and join and hang out. But with that all being said, I hope to see you guys in the next one.